It is nearing the end of the school year, and you guys have been asking many questions on how I've actually utilized this stuff for my gifted 5-year-old's kindergarten year. So let me give you the breakdown on that now. Hey guys, I'm Kathleen Lewis. I'm a homeschool graduate turned homeschool mom to my own kids, one of which is a gifted kindergartner this year. So let me jump right into this, give you the quick rundown on how we use stuff this year. First up, handwriting. This was perfect for us. It was just the right amount of length, not a whole lot of repetition that my son got bored with it, which is a big problem with gifted kids. Too much boring stuff, their brain tends to shut down easier than a non-gifted kid. But the length of this handwriting book was perfect for us. So we'll keep using this next year. Spelling. We tried using spelling UC level A. Now, I said in my original video that I wanted to give him an easy subject, but this was way too easy and not fitting well with my son. I was jumping to book level B to see if that would work better for him, and I realized how boring it would be, as I just mentioned, for a gifted mind. So I had to come up with something about a couple months into the school year, and we switched to Xander Blozer's spelling. This is the first grade level. This was perfect for him. It was just the right amount of variety from day to day to keep him engaged, so it wasn't very repetitive in that sense. There is a rotation of types of activities in here though, so he still gets familiar with the activities, the structure of the material, so he knows what to expect. And even within that, there's variations as you go along in the program, so it gets a little bit more unique and challenging towards the end. So this was perfect for us. I'm very glad we switched to it. Okay, math, Beast Academy. Best decision of the year. I wasn't quite sure if I'd use the online version or the paper version, so I did get both at the beginning of the year. I offered this to my son, but actually never used the paper version. He preferred the electronic, and that is primarily three reasons. One, he could do it completely without me. He could be independent, and my son really loves to be independent. Two, there are video instructors. Same guy who is the creator behind Beast Academy and then the high school version. AOP, I don't remember what that stands for. But the guy created all of that, and he's the one that actually teaches the lessons. So they're 3 to 5 minute videos, which my son really enjoys watching because the teacher is very interactive. And then the actual lessons themselves are short, typically between 4 to 10 problems, depending on how complicated they are in the material. In the book, however, there's a lot more per lesson. Like, let's see, 10 frames, 28 problems in one lesson. So if a kid knows the material, that is going to be a problem for the gifted child. 28 problems for a concept that they already know. So as a parent, if you're using the physical book, you'll want to drastically cut down the number of problems the kid does. But that's another reason my son loves the online version other than the paper. Okay, that's a lot better. Pregnant, you can't sit on the floor for that long. History. History is where we're going next. So we were doing Sonlight's Early American History, which I think now they have put for first grade year, but I bought the used kindergarten version off of eBay. And as expected with Sonlight, which I was hoping this wasn't going to be the case, but the curriculum guide, the instructor's guide, the big binder, we did not use. I tried using the questions in there, but I realized the comprehension questions that my son really doesn't need, and he didn't really appreciate having to do them. We had discussions instead over the material, which were a whole lot more beneficial. And the schedule, I knew I wasn't going to use the Sonlight schedule. So yeah, the instructor's guide was not benefit to us. And then the books, these are the main spines for the history. These are better than a textbook, but not as good as they could be. So they cover a wide range of people in here, which I really appreciate. That was something excellent that Sonlight did. But the stories still are not told that well. My kids greatly preferred learning the history through the picture books. So like Squanto's Journey, which was a reference in here that the author used to write the article. You Wouldn't Want to Be an American Pioneer, and then Locomotive. These are all books referenced in the Sonlight history. So I'll turn the camera around in a minute and show you. But at the end of each section, the author tells you which picture book she read to do her research. And then there's also a huge list in the back of additional books, picture books, that the kids could read about these topics. My kids preferred learning history through that. So it was not a miss, not a hit, but definitely something we had to modify greatly. And so we spent most of our time reading the dozens and dozens and dozens of picture books that were referenced in that book, and very little time actually reading the spine. Now with the second book, there's not as many good books in the back that are history based, and I've decided I'm going to go back to the picture books for when I'm postpartum, to catch some of those good ones, just so we can finish out the spine here in a couple weeks. Whew. Pregnant, losing my breath, speaking too much. Which brings me to anatomy. Since I was pregnant, my son has been asking a ton of questions about anatomy before that. I did do human anatomy with my 5-year-old this year. And one of the things we talked about was how this baby's squishing all my organs. So my stomach's smaller, I have to eat more meals, lungs are smaller, so I'm gonna be losing my breath. But he really, really loved the anatomy. I referenced in another video that because of me being pregnant and on the couch quite a bit in the fall for a couple months, I just gave him this book ahead of schedule, and we actually quit history for several months because I wasn't up to reading all of that. And then he went into science, and he went through this book in a couple weeks on his own, listening to the audiobook version. We didn't do any of the activities in here, but again, he really loved the Apologia Anatomy book here. And then we also were using Blossom and Root. So I pulled videos from her list in here and dropped them onto his YouTube Kids app, which if you don't know how to do that, I'll link the video down below. But this also was a hit with the videos she was recommending. We didn't do a whole lot of extra books from the library with that, but we did use the spine she suggested. So December, once we got our house semi back together, we started picking up this and finished this in January. This is The Fantastic Body. My son really, really loved this book. He was fascinated with this. And then there's the DK book that we used as reference for the body, talking about other subjects. But this was great. It's written in a junior high level, so aimed more towards like 12, 13-year-olds. But it was just the right amount of material for my son. Okay, last subject is the reading. I did not use a curriculum this year for reading because my son just needed to gain confidence and fluency. So we were past All About Reading level 2, and I didn't want to go into level 3 with him. Instead, we used the Usborne Farmyard Tales. Now this is a dual reader where the parents read the bottom, the kid reads the top. The top does include some challenging words in here, like surprise, but this was just the right length to give him confidence that he knew how to read. And then once we got quite a ways through here, I don't think we finished this, we switched to Frog and Toad. This one I pulled from our shelves that we had bought at Costco. But the Frog and Toad books, we would do alternate pages. So I would read this page, he would read this page. That way he could keep moving with the story and get his practice in, but not feel like it's taking forever. So this was a huge win, and my daughter liked listening to it too. From there, we moved on to just books from the library. I still utilized some of the Usborne readers that we had. There's the Usborne Reading Library, so I put these intermixed because these were actually teaching phonograms that he had not learned yet. And then also readers like Elephant and Piggy. I pulled out Nate the Gray. I pulled out Amelia Bedelia, some of those classics that are level 2 readers. So he has been gaining a lot of confidence with reading, and I'm excited to see where he'll be beginning of first grade year. If this video has been helpful to you, just go ahead and bump that like button and let me know it. If there's anything in particular you want me to do a full review on, drop those down in the comments and let me know. If I didn't answer your question also about a curriculum, put those in the comments. I'd be happy to answer those for you.